All right, we've made it to lesson 68. It's a big one. They're all big, but this is one of the more famous ones. Partly, I think, because of, for me, it's big because Gary Renard in Disappearance of the Universe made a big deal about this one. Love holds no grievances. It's a great one. It's just such a simple and clear statement. Love holds no grievances. So yesterday we had lesson 67, which is love created me like itself. And Jesus really wants for us to understand God as love. And in understanding God as love and understanding that God created us and that God as love created us, that we are love. So what is love? Well, love, as Jesus is telling us now, holds no grievances. And one thing, my friend in Holland, I didn't get your name yet, but when I do get your name, I'll mention you by name. But my friend in Holland mentioned that I neglected to say yesterday, well, Jesus is now trying to establish that God is love, right? Because he doesn't say he doesn't say God created me like God's self. He says love created me like itself. And I was trying to say, well, this came from the lesson before where Jesus started to make the switch to God as love. But really, you can see this from the very beginning of the course, right? In the very introduction of the course, it says, this course does not aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Now, the introduction ends with the word God. Didn't mention God until that moment at the very end. But before that, it mentioned love, right? This course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. Love and God essentially are synonymous. You could put God there. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of God, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of God's presence, which is your natural inheritance. Is there a difference between love and God? For all intents and purposes, I would say no. They're synonymous. They're synonyms. That is, in reality, because they're just words that symbolize something beyond the words. But from our point of view, there is a difference between God and love. In the sense that we don't think of love, we tend to think of God as a supreme being. We don't necessarily think of love as a supreme being. And the Course does speak about God in a dualistic way, making God seem to be a supreme being or supreme personality. And I'm going to return to this because I'm going to talk about it later, but I don't want to get too much on it right now. But love holds no grievances. Here we go, lesson 68, love holds no grievances. Paragraph 1, you who were created by love like itself can hold no grievances and know yourself. To hold a grievance is to forget who you are. To hold a grievance is to see yourself as a body. To hold a grievance is to let the ego rule your mind and to condemn the body to death. Perhaps you do not yet fully realize just what holding grievances does to your mind. It seems to split you off from your source and make you unlike him. It makes you believe that he is like what you think you have become, for no one can conceive of his creator as unlike himself. Paragraph 2. Shut off from yourself, which remains aware of its likeness to its creator, yourself seems to sleep, while the part of your mind that weaves illusions in its sleep appears to be awake. Can all this arise from holding grievances? Oh, yes. For he who holds grievances denies he was created by love and his creator has become fearful to him in his dream of hate. Who can dream of hatred and not fear God? Paragraph 3. It is as sure that those who hold grievances will redefine God in their own image as it is certain that God created them like himself and defined them as part of him. It is as sure that those who hold grievances will suffer guilt as it is certain that those who forgive will find peace. It is as sure that those who hold grievances will forget who they are as it is certain that those who forgive will remember. Paragraph 4. Would you not be willing to relinquish your grievances if you believed all this were so? Perhaps you do not think you can let your grievances go. That, however, is simply a matter of motivation. Today we will try to find out how you would feel without them. If you succeed even by ever so little, there will never be a problem in motivation ever again. Paragraph 5. Begin today's extended practice period by searching your mind for those against whom you hold what you regard as major grievances. Some of these will be quite easy to find. Then think of the seemingly minor grievances you hold against those you like and even think you love. It will quickly become apparent that there is no one against whom you do not cherish grievances of some sort. This has left you alone in all the universe in your perception of yourself. Paragraph 6, determine now to see all these people as friends. Say to them all, thinking of each one in turn as you do so, I would see you as my friend, that I may remember you are part of me and come to know myself. Spend the remainder of the practice period trying to think of yourself as completely at peace with everyone and everything, safe in a world that protects you and loves you and that you love in return. Try to feel safety surrounding you, hovering over you and holding you up. Try to believe, however briefly, that nothing can harm you in any way. At the end of the practice period, tell yourself, love holds no grievances. When I let all my grievances go, I will know I am perfectly safe. Paragraph 7. The short practice periods should include a quick application of today's idea in this form whenever any thought of grievance arises against anyone, physically present or not. Love holds no grievances. Let me not betray myself. In addition, repeat the idea several times an hour in this form. Love holds no grievances. I would wake to myself by laying all my grievances aside and wakening in him. All right. Wow. This is next level, man. This is Love holds no grievances. All right. We have the word grief and we have the word grievance. We have the word anger. What do they all have in common? They have a grr. Where does the grr come from? Grr. And you may notice, I don't know how it is in other languages, but in English, there are a lot of grr words. Besides anger and besides grievance and grief, you have groan, you have grudge, you have grating, it's grating on me. You have gruesome, you have grueling, like a grueling race or a grueling workout. You have many words that have that grr. You have other words too, which are not pejorative or negative, like the word great. You have the word great. So I once did a little piece about this, about how groaning to greatness, right? How to move from groaning to greatness. And work through all of your grievances, and really, the Course is presenting the way. So let's read paragraph by paragraph. I have more to say about this. Love holds no grievances. No more grief, no more suffering. Paragraph 1, you who were created by love like itself can hold no grievances and know yourself. To hold a grievance is to forget who you are. To hold a grievance is to see yourself as a body. To hold a grievance is to let the ego rule your mind and to condemn the body to death. Perhaps you do not yet fully realize just what holding grievances does to your mind. It seems to split you off from your source and make you unlike him. It makes you believe that he is like what you think you have become, for no one can conceive of his creator as unlike himself. Now, obviously, one thing this paragraph is doing is it's making love and God the same. Because it starts with love. You who are created by love like itself can hold no grievances and know yourself. It's saying love is yourself. Yourself is love. And then it ends with, it seems to split you off from your source, meaning God, and make you unlike him. Now it's not talking about love anymore, it's talking about God. It makes you believe that he is like what you think you have become, for no one can conceive of his creator as unlike himself. So now what the shift that Jesus is trying to make here is, we understand love. We understand what love is. We understand that love can hold nothing against anyone, right? Love is love. Love is, what is love but acceptance, but just nothing in the way of unconditional acceptance. And therefore God must be that as well. But what we do when we hold a grievance against anyone is we deny that's what we are. We deny that God is that. We're not aware that we're doing that, and it works the other way too, is that because we think that God holds grievances, because we think that God is a punishing deity, or we think that God is jealous or wrathful or vengeful or, you name it, because of that, and angry, then we think it's okay to hold grievances because God does that. So if God can do that, then we can do that too. Why not? All right, so number 2. Paragraph 2, shut off from yourself, which remains aware of its likeness to its creator. Yourself seems to sleep, while the part of your mind that weaves illusions in its sleep appears to be awake. Can all this arise from holding grievances? Oh, yes. Now, where did we see the oh, yes before? We saw it in the Manual for Teachers, where Jesus says, are you the Christ? Oh, yes. Are you the Christ? Oh, yes. Is he the Christ? Oh, yes. Along with you. I'm sorry. Is he the Christ? Oh, yes. Along with you. You are the Christ as well. Can all of this arise from holding grievances? Oh, yes. For he who holds grievances denies he was created by love, and his creator has become fearful to him in his dream of hate. Who can dream of hatred and not fear God? So again, Jesus knows what he's doing here, right? He's trying to now make he's trying to show us that God is love, right? God being love cannot have any hate or evil in God, right? It's a very important move that Jesus is making here, and that he, it's not just now, but he has been making it since the very beginning of the course, right? What is all-encompassing can have no opposite, right? The opposite of love in this world is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite, meaning that God has no fear, God has no hatred, God has no judgment. God is only love. Love and only love. For he who holds grievances denies he was created by love, and his creator has become fearful to him in his dream of hate. Who can dream of hatred and not fear God? So once you get into this hatred thing and judgment and fear, etc., God becomes that as well, because then you can't think of your creator as other than that. Your creator must be like that. This is huge. when you think about religion and how religion has made God into a being, like a personality. Now, I think there's a place for that. Obviously there is, because Jesus sometimes speaks of God as if God has attributes, right? As like God is happy when we're happy, and God is longing for us. God is not complete without us, etc., things like that make it sound as if God is a supreme being or a supreme personality. But let's go on. Paragraph 3, it is assured that those who hold grievances will redefine God in their own image, as it is certain that God created them like himself and defined them as part of him. So in other words, the ego will create God necessarily in its own images, as long as you hold grievances against anyone or anything. Because what you think you are is what you think everyone else is and what you think God is. It is assured that those who hold grievances will suffer guilt, as it is certain that those who forgive will find peace. It is assured that those who hold grievances will forget who they are, as it is certain that those who forgive will remember. Okay, so I don't think we need to say much about that. If you hold a grievance, you're going to feel guilty, and you're going to forget who you truly are. And if you forgive, you will learn who you truly are, and you will realize that love is all, and the ego is nothing. Paragraph 4. Would you not be willing to relinquish your grievances if you believed all this were so? Right? So Jesus is presenting us with an alternative here. This is not something you would hear anywhere, just about anywhere in this world, actually. The Course is presenting something that's somewhat unique. I mean, things like this have been said before, of course, but it's presenting a whole thought system based on this idea of what he's talking about here. So would you not be willing to relinquish your grievances if you believed all this were so? Perhaps you do not think you can let your grievances go. That, however, is simply a matter of motivation. Today we'll try to find out how you would feel without them. If you succeed even by ever so little, there will never be a problem in motivation ever again. So if you let go even just a little bit of your grievances, and you see what effect that has on your consciousness, you will be motivated, right? You will see what this is all about. This is why people are into A Course in Miracles, because they see that it works for them. They're motivated to study it, practice it, because they see that it works. Let's go on though. Paragraph 5, begin today's extended practice period by searching your mind for those against whom you hold what you regard as major grievances. Some of these will be quite easy to find. Then think of the seemingly minor grievances you hold against those you like and even think you love. It will quickly become apparent that there is no one against whom you do not cherish grievances of some sort. This has left you alone in all the universe in your perception of yourself. So we feel alone. Why? Because we're holding shit against everyone. Right? And we don't really even realize that until we start a practice such as this that asks us to look at what we're holding against other people. Right? And when we start to look, and we start to honestly look, we will see that we hold something against everyone. Right? Really, it's really holding it against ourselves, but we hold something against everyone. We have, certain people in our life that we really actively dislike, and there are other people that are our friends and our loved ones who we just have little issues with. But really, there's no order of difficulty in miracles, and there's no hierarchy of illusions, as Jesus tells us, right? That means that a little grievance is not any less than a big grievance. They're really all the same, and they all have the potential to keep us in the dark about our true self. Paragraph 6, determine now to see all these people as friends. Everyone can become your friend. Say to them all, thinking of each one in turn, as you do so, I would see you as my friend, that I may remember you are part of me and come to know myself. So in this sense, friend means we are one. You are not separate from me. We really are one. Spend the remainder of the practice period trying to think of yourself as completely at peace with everyone and everything, safe in a world that protects you and loves you, and that you love in return. Try to feel safety surrounding you, hovering over you, and holding you up. Try to believe, however briefly, that nothing can harm you in any way. Nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. At the end of the practice period, tell yourself, love holds no grievances. When I let all my grievances go, I will know I am perfectly safe. If nothing is threatening me, then I will not be threatened by anything, and I will not threaten myself. I will be living more and more in a world that is loving, and where my true self, I'm going home to my true self in every moment, and that's all that matters, right? And there's nothing, when I rest in this knowing that my true self can never be harmed, then I am free. And I, life becomes a very simple matter. At the end of the practice period, so this is the long practice period, what Jesus is giving us, things that we say, love holds no grievances. When I let all my grievances go, I will know I am perfectly safe. 7, the short practice period should include a quick application of today's idea in this form. Whenever any thought of grievance arises against anyone physically present or not. Love holds no grievances. Let me not betray myself. So that's what you might say in the short practice periods. Actually, Jesus wants you to say it like that, I guess. In addition, repeat the idea several times an hour in this form. Love holds no grievances. I would wake to myself by laying all my grievances aside and wakening in him. So here, Jesus, once again, is making a saying that my true self and God are one, and so love, myself, and God are one. This is actually something that Ramana Maharshi, one of the great Hindu sages of the 20th century, said. He said, God, Guru, and self are one. Now, he could have said God, love, and self are one. It's the same thing. But God, Guru, and self are one. God is yourself and is also the Holy Spirit. In a sense, God, Guru, and self are one is like saying God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Right? So, on that note of talking about Hinduism, I would just want to point out that this whole thing about grievances and grief, you find as early as the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the great scriptures of India. It's considered to be like the New Testament, basically, of India. On that level, right? It's read by millions of Hindus. Perhaps the most sacred text of all India. Gandhi famously read it every day, had it next to his bed, said great things about it. Now, in the Gita, the Gita is like an Upanishad, which is an earlier a genre of literature that also has the same idea, a lot of the same ideas. But one thing is that when you become one with God, which the Hindus call Brahman for the most part, and this is in some of the Upanishads, like the Katha Upanishad. When you go beyond this world and you become one with God, you go beyond grief. And you see that a lot. And I'm going to read right now. I'm not going to read from the Gita. I'm going to read another Gita. This is called the Abadhuta Gita. And this has I was just reading this last night, and it started to talk all about grief. So I'll just read a few of the verses here. Here is the truth, undifferentiated by truth, devoid of junction and disjunction, since it is the same in all and devoid of all. Why do you, who are the identity in all, grieve in your heart? And then it just keeps saying that. It keeps saying, why do you grieve? Why are you grieving? Here is the supreme, devoid of association and dissociation, unlike a house, cottage, or sheath. Here is the supreme, devoid of knowledge and ignorance. Why do you, who are the identity in all, grieve in your heart? One more, I'll read one more. Here verily is the conscious being who is completely the all. Here is the conscious being who is all comprehensive and undivided. Here is the conscious being alone and immutable. Why do you, who are the identity in all, grieve in your heart? All right. So, why do you grieve? Why do we grieve? Why do we shed tears? It is because we have chosen the ego, essentially. We have chosen to not know ourselves. If we were in the acceptance of our true self and willing to let go of our grief, or at least look at our grief in the light of love, and look at our grievances in the light of love, we would realize that they're not necessary. And that we can live without grievances, we can live without grief, we can live without suffering, we can live without groaning, without grudges, without all the gur words that are in the pit of our stomach, and sometimes we may feel that in our stomach, and we may feel that there are things stuck in our stomach. And I bring this up because a friend of mine just wrote to me last night on Facebook about how, and I didn't even know he does yoga, but he's been doing yoga, and he's like, man, Uddiyana Bandha is so cool. And he was talking about how much it seems to help him to release blockages in that area, because Uddiyana Bandha is a stomach lift. And so, all these things can be helpful for sure, but ultimately it's gonna end with changing your mind, right? You may do things with your body that help for sure, right? And the things that you do with your body can be helpful, but ultimately it's gonna come down to a simple choice in your mind between love and fear, and that's all it ever was. Do I know that for sure? No, I don't. But I like where Jesus is going with all this. That's all I can say. I'm motivated. So, love holds no grievances. Next one, my grievances hide the light of the world in me. And we'll see you there soon. Thank you so much for listening. I know these videos are very long. I can't believe you're listening if you were listening to the whole thing. That's very cool. So see you soon, and namaste.